Jason, it just caught the system.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Rex.
Hello, John.
How you doing, Rex? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. Got everything working. Good to see you again.
You too.
Hi, Rex. Hi, John.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, how you doing, Brian? Good. Oh, there's Rob. Rebecca. There's Jim.
Yeah, we'll be looking for another Jim tonight, hopefully, if he signs on.
Yeah, I sent him that invitation.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it a whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Brian. I take the mute off. Hello.
Hi, Beth.
Hello.
Hi, Margie. Hi, Marty.
Hello.
Alan's on here.
Hi, kitties.
There's Carol, or there's Carl.
Close enough.
Carl, you sent me that message. I will try to do that, but I
Okay.
forgot how I did that. So I've been trying to figure out how I did that by putting those names on the back of Reddit.
Yeah.
I
good.
found a whole list of the people I did, but I can't figure out how I did it. So once I figure it out, I'll start doing them again.
Yeah, some guy, initials RKR, wanted to know who I was because I was playing around on his photo.
Well,
That's
the
Rob
only,
Riga.
the
I'm
only
Mark
place that's
AR.
gonna work is on our site, just so you know that.
Okay.
Oh, Rob, that was you?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't figure it out.
All right, guys. I am in the middle of, I have a mechanic here working on my truck and I'm in the middle of helping him. He stayed late to help me, so I'm working on my truck while we're gonna have this meeting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out with my tips and tricks. Because it's my night to do that. So I've got a tip and a tip or a trick or whatever you want to call it, trick or treat, whatever it is, that I want to show you. And then I'm going to turn the meeting over to you guys to run along, Jim, with news. I'm hoping you have some.
Yeah.
And Marty's on here, but she says she's having some audio problems. So anyhow, and then I'm going to go help him a little bit, and then I'll keep popping back and forth, and hopefully we can get done what we need to do. We're putting new tires and brakes on my truck, and as with everything, you start out with a 10-minute job, and we're 2.5 hours in, and a trip to the parts store already, and I'm not done yet. So,
I
No,
won't make it done.
the best laid plans never work. I've worked on this and had everything ready to go for tonight so that it could be done in a couple hours. That didn't work. So anyhow,
Know how that goes.
we just lost somebody. Who'd we lose?
Well, hey, Brian, are you
Marty.
planning on participating in the file management discussion?
I am going to participate on that, but that'll be my part will be towards the end of that, if that
Okay.
works. What we're doing out there now we're almost to the point where we're close to being done. So I think I've bought enough parts now to finish the job. So it shouldn't take too much longer for me to finish there. So anyhow, if y'all don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and start with my tips and tricks. And it's actually a pretty simple one. It's something that I use all the time in Lightroom. You probably do it, but anyhow, it's something I wanted to show you guys because it is something that I use quite often when developing pictures. I'm still at work, by the way, guys. Oh, and if anybody's wondering, I'm in the middle of moving too. So I got a couple people popping in here, so I'm gonna get these guys in. Here's Marty back. Dennis just popped in. Jim Meehan just popped in.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Nope.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. You have to turn on the switch that's got your webcam on it.
No. All right, guys.
That would- I just
Sony
spoke to
exposure
Ann.
donut.
I just put in the chat my subjects for the news.
Oh,
Brian.
okay, that makes sense. I was like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about, Jim?
You're not, hey, Brian, you won't miss any donuts.
Okay, that's important to me. We can't be missing donuts. All right.
I just spoke to Annie.
I didn't know if we were gonna bring that up or not. So,
Yeah, she said we could.
okay.
So you want me to share?
You know a heck of a lot more about it than I do. So yeah, go ahead.
So yesterday, Annie was at work and she had a heart attack.
Oh, no.
They rushed her to the hospital. Her heart enzymes went from 4 to 400. So they did a heart cath today at 3. They didn't find any blockages. They didn't put a stent in. They think it's just hypertension. So that's all I know. She's doing okay.
Is she at home?
No, they're going to keep her another night.
Yeah.
I talked to her, she called me this morning and she sounded just like she normally does. I mean, she was
Yeah.
joking with me and that kind of stuff. And so she sounded good this morning. I haven't talked to her this afternoon, but she did call me this
Yeah.
morning and talk to me a little bit about what was going on. So she
Yeah,
sounded good then.
She's still a little drowsy from the anesthesia, so.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, but I wanted to get an update before we got on. And her sister's with her, so
Oh,
that
that's good.
could cause some more hypertension, who knows?
I'm gonna say that could be good or bad. I'm not sure on that situation.
I know.
All right. Thanks for the update there, Marty, and keep me informed as you find stuff out like we've been doing. So,
I will.
all right, guys. Let me share my screen so I can get into my tips and tricks, and then you guys can move ahead, and I can go finish my truck. Let's see here. Share screen. That's what I'm looking for, and it should be that one. Okay, can you see
Yep. Crack. Yep.
the crack show? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So my tips and tricks, or I just should say my tips. This isn't a trick. If you have a picture like this, when I'm working on it, a lot of times I want to draw attention to something specific. So I kind of want to draw attention to just her, not so much him, but just her. So what I do with that is I use a very simple thing. I just go in and I use this radial filter. And it's doing its thing where it detects people and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care about that. So I'm going to use a radial filter. I'm going to put it on her. And I like to usually put it in kind of an angled way, a little bit like this. And I'm going to tell up here where the 3 dots are, I'm going to tell it to invert that mask so that it's not masking her. It's going to work on the outside. And then just to draw attention to her, I'm just going to darken everything else down a little bit. And once I get that kind of where I want it to be, then I can, what I'll do is I'll come back up here and I'll do a create new mask. And I'm going to tell it to, or no, I'm sorry, not create new mask. I'm going to go to the triple dots again. I forgot triple dots, and I'm going to tell it to duplicate and invert the mask. So now it's working inside, it's done an exact same mask, but it's working on the inside this time now. And then I'm going to make my adjustments to her, brighten her up a little bit and do whatever it is that I want to do to her. A little contrast, a little bit more, a little bit less exposure. Pull those shadows out a little bit and weights and stuff. It's a little bit there. And just quickly with 2 masks in Lightroom, I've been able to, let's click off of the mask now. So I've taken this picture and just done a little bit here, just a couple of bit, and I've taken all my attention off of him and put it on her. And I will do that quite often in pictures to get the attention or the highlights or whatever it is that's important to the picture highlighted and shown by darkening everything else that I did in the picture. And I might go back to this a little bit. I think it might be just a hair too dark around her. So I'll bounce that back up a little bit when I finish, if I would finish this picture. But I use this radial filter all the time. It's wonderful. It's really, really good at what it does. And I use it quite often for stuff like this. And let me go back to, let's see, I need picture number 364, I think it was. Nope, it was 300 and. I forget what picture it was. I should have wrote the number down. Let me see here.
When you find it, put a flag on it.
Yeah, I actually, you know what? I did do that. I started. There it is.
Thanks, Rex.
Thanks, Rex. Thanks for telling me how I do something, how to do something.
That's
So
why,
this
that's
is
why
a,
I'm here.
this is a picture here that I just did that. I did this exact same thing with it. I went in, if you look over here in my history, I did the same thing. I added these gradient, here's the gradients up in here. Where I went to and added the inverted, changed, and adjusted those as I went through to darken all of the background, but brighten, but leave her bright. So anyhow, that's my tip. That's my, I guess it's a trick. I don't know. But don't be afraid to use that gradient filter and invert it and copy it and redo it and work on the inside, work on the outside to bring attention to your subject in your picture. Okay, that's it. That's it for me. Up, share.
Well, I can say one thing about it. I use it all the time too, and it's so easy.
Yeah, you can, I mean, you can take that filter and apply it like we did there. And in seconds, you've completely redone your picture or completely changed the style of the picture or the idea of the picture. So anyhow, that's my trick or my tip or whatever you want to call it. I use it all the time. I highly recommend taking a look at it. And it's just a nice way, because if you go in and just add the vignette to the picture, typically that's only working on the outside edges, and it doesn't really do a whole lot until the point where it starts to do something. Then it looks horrible because you're seeing the vignette. So with something like this, you don't see as much as you don't see that transition as much. And again, both of these, I did fairly quickly just to show them to you. I would spend a little bit more time in there playing around and adjusting that filter out wider, narrower, changing the flow and whatnot with it. But it's definitely something that I use with almost all of my pictures. I will use that somewhere in the picture. And
Brian, when you invert the when you invert when you invert it like that, if you would change the size of it, does it change both?
no, because it's a second mask.
Only a second mask. Okay, so you have to go in and manually change the other one then too.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you wanted to change the size or the direction or whatever of one to the other, yeah, you would go back in and adjust.
Okay,
each.
I'm just curious. I never used the inversion like that. I was wondering how it worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to turn over to Jim. I guess is going to do some news.
Yes, but I'd like to say something beforehand.
Okay.
All right, I have May, June, and July, and September and December. Who wants to be put down for May for tips and tricks? Okay, I'm gonna try this again. I have May, June, and July, September and December. Who would like to be put down for May and June? Gotta be somebody.
I'll take May.
All right,
June when? What is it in June?
the third, it's the last Thursday of the month.
Yeah, the SWIG meeting.
Yeah,
Do you want Death Valley photos
sure. I think it'd be great.
with show and tell?
So Dennis, you have June.
Remind
It'll be
me.
the 29th.
Yes.
Yeah,
That works for you, Dennis?
well, I have to check the other half, but I think so.
Okay. If not, just let me know.
Okay.
All right, July. Come on, look up a video on YouTube, you
Put me
know,
down.
Who is it?
girl for July. Okay, y'all who are not signed up, think about it. It's no YouTube video. Who knows? Who cares? Show me some of your pictures when you went on a trip, like Dennis is going to do. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's
All right, guys.
not-
I'm going to pop off or pop out of here and go work on my truck a little bit. if you guys need anything specific, just call my cell phone. One of you guys, just call me and say, hey, come back to the meeting real quick and I'll come back.
Okay.
I'm only around the
Okay.
back. Yeah, I'm just around the corner here. So, all right, guys. And all right, I'll be back. Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Okay,
Hey, Marty.
Margie,
Yes.
you don't have anybody for July yet?
I have Carl, but Carl can take September. So will you take July?
Yeah. Okay, we'll be out of the country for a little over 2 weeks. We're gonna go out of Miami, down to Panama, and go to Los Angeles with all the stops along the way, and I'll bring back some pictures. How's that?
Oh, that's perfect.
All
So,
right. Okay.
Carl, do you want September or do you want December?
I already have September in the calendar. So you're good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. All
Marty,
right.
do you want to tell us anything about the show, the reception, anything?
Yes. The reception is Friday, 6 to 8. At Lightroom Arts Center, and we're ready to go. I don't know what else to say. Thank you everyone for your photos, and thank you everyone for bringing the food. That really helped us. And I hope to see you all there, and I'm counting on somebody selling something this time because it has been a real challenge to do this one. We had 70 photos sent in, and then I called the art center and they said they wanted 60. So I had to call members and ask them not to bring some of their photos. And then when I got there, and I dropped mine off on Monday, and then I went back and dropped Brian's off on Tuesday, and they said they didn't have enough because a lot of people were doing small ones this time. So I had to scramble, and I had to come home and get a couple of mine. I wasn't sure where everybody lived to have you come and do it, and it was like last minute. So a couple people did step up that I reached out and told them I'm sorry I couldn't take their photos. So we did have a couple people bring in some extra ones, and then I brought extras. So now we're good. So that will never happen again, everybody. I will take your 70 photos and let that up to the curator to decide which ones are cut. If you have like 5 and they can't take all 5, I'm going to let them make the choice. I'm not going to do this to you again. So I hope everybody will forgive me for doing this. And it was a learning experience. And like I said, I hope everybody can sell something, or someone sells something. We will have best of People's Choice Award as well. So,
Marty,
yes, sir.
Carol was with a, whoa, what was that? Was with a knitting group today at the art center, and she said she saw the artwork there.
Okay.
And she said while she was there, while they were there, the whole knitting group, they saw people coming in, going back and forth and looking at the work.
Oh, great.
It is getting seen. It is being seen.
Yeah, so it's mostly in the gallery. So we didn't get like over by the cafe. So it's just the gallery area. So,
Mm-hmm.
but next time I will not ask you to cut photos because I won't want this to happen again. So I apologize.
You don't need to apologize, Marty. You've done an excellent job.
Mhm.
Well,
I
felt
agree with
bad.
Margie.
I know, but I feel bad asking people to cut. And then some people backed out at the last minute. So that left us out without photos. So I just feel bad. And that you had 5 and now you don't have 5 to put in. So So other than that, I think we're good on our reception, and I can't wait to see everybody on Friday.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you so much, Marty.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Before I start the news, does anybody else have anything they want to bring up for the meeting? Okay, take that as a no. Okay, I assume you see my petapixel screen here.
Yep.
Okay, so this first one is a guy from the UK who was relatively new to photography but wanted to learn, was dumbfounded in being able to put his camera in manual mode. And so he developed a little software package that in his mind helped him better kind of conceive, understand what the effect of the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO have on exposure. So he developed it kind of for himself, but then decided to try and peddle it to camera and smartphone manufacturers. And it's kind of clever. Whether we'll ever see it on maybe a camera that we buy, I don't know. But it's nice because I think particularly for beginner photographers, it lets you visualize the effect of making adjustments on the three main variables on the exposure for a particular scene. So there's just a short video here that kind of, he walks you through how this kind of works and shows a couple of examples of it. So I think it's just a few minutes long.
Hello,
4 minutes.
This is a quick demonstration of Expodo. We've got the prototype camera here, and we're just in an office room with a fan blowing and some lettering in the background. And here we have the user interface. So I'm just going to walk through a couple of settings. The first thing to say is that Expodo is all about managing exposure, so setting the brightness of your image, number one, and number two, deciding which parts of your image are blurry or sharp. So the four arcs here sum to a complete circle when the image is of a normal brightness or correctly exposed, and if any of them are reduced, let me do that here with the green arc for instance, then the picture becomes dark. Adding length to these arcs will ultimately make the circle more than complete, and then the picture is overexposed. So if we try taking a photograph there, we'll see it's brighter than we might probably want. So I'm going to just actually set it to auto, which means that it will automatically adjust to be a complete circle. And if we, for instance, wanted to blur the background, then we need to increase the background blur arc. There we go. Take a photo. Background is blurry. Similarly, if we wanted a sharp background, we can reduce the background.
I'm going to pause this for a second because actually one of the other videos in the article gives you a little bit more introductory into this thing. So just to try to explain, the title of the article in Petapixel is the exposure donut. He actually calls it, or short Expodo, if you will. But so the way he's done it is to get a good exposure, if you will, the donut has to be complete. And you can do that by either adjusting one way or the other, the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO. And each one of those segments of the donut ring represent one of those variables. So just as a way as preliminary background, because I'm not sure he started off the video where he kind of explains it. I think later on you'll kind of get the gist of it, but just in case it wasn't clear.
Blur arc. Let's try that. We're focused on the fan, but the background is pretty sharp. Let's now move to time. Maybe we want to blur the blades of the fan. So we should get that at the moment because we've got a big motion blur arc. So focus on the fan. There we go. We can see the blades of the fan are blurred, and even the ribbon, which is moving a bit slower, is blurred. Let's see if we can freeze that motion. So I'm reducing the blue arc. Something else has got to compensate, and that's the background blur. So we're getting lots of background blur in exchange for less motion blur. Let's see how that works when we take a photograph. Focused on the fan. There we go. We've frozen the blades of the fan, and we've frozen the ribbon. Now there's one more thing here, which is the grain blur, and we can simulate that if we just close the blinds in this room. So really cut down the light. Go back to the camera. Now you may not remember how big the white arc was on this, but the white arc represents how bright the room is, and that has shrunk dramatically, and so now the circle is incomplete and the picture is underexposed. So we're going to have to increase something. Let's try increasing the blue arc, but maybe we didn't want to increase blue arc. Maybe we still wanted to freeze the motion of the fan, in which case, and maybe we also wanted the background blurry, so we're going to have to increase instead the grain blur. So let's see what happens when we do that. So focusing on the fan, take the photograph.
What he's calling the grain blur is ISO.
Hopefully you can see it on this image. There's quite a lot of grain blur. I'll do that again. Same settings. So at my end here live, I can see there's quite a lot of grain blur, and you'd certainly see that if you blew this up large. So that's it. That's our first working prototype.
Okay, that probably wasn't the best video, but I think it tells you enough to kind of explain what he's attempting to do. So anyway, he's trying to make a product out of it. But I thought what was interesting is just a different way of looking at the exposure triangle. So this next one is basically smartphone photography awards, and some pretty nice photos in here. The grand prize winner was this fella, Glenn Homan, and the article starts off with a number of his photos. So there's a nice use of light. Color contrast.
Is this straight from the camera, or is it, I mean, straight from the phone, or did he process them? Do you know?
I don't know if it tells you that. I'm going to start here.
No.
I don't notice. This is one of his. I think the colors are just, it's really cool the way they stand out, I think. And now I see this, yeah, this is one more of his, black and white. Yeah, great contrast. And yep, one more of his. So it wouldn't matter what camera he's using or phone he's using. He's got an interesting eye for composition, I think. And I think these then are other submit, oh no, one more of his. Yeah, and there's another one. I didn't realize they had so many in there. Oh, okay, and then here's winners by category, if you will. So this first one's architecture and still life.
Yeah, that one definitely looks like it's been processed.
Black and white. Wonder how much it pays to be an elephant bather.
No, I would love to do that. I love elephants.
Probably doesn't pay as much as the elephant scooper gets.
Good point.
RG, I would just pay to see you get up on the elephant.
Yeah, I've been on them before.
I don't know where this is, but that's pretty cool looking location.
Oh, it is.
Macro. That's a pretty cute photo.
Yeah, that is. I like the lighting. I really do.
Well, if it wasn't three nuns, it wouldn't have the impact either.
Mm. Yeah.
There's an irony there, Jim. I'm remembering three nuns that you took.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little
Remember
different circumstance, but yeah, you're right, Rex. That's really nice.
It is. Very nice.
So this looks like a 90-year-old man hunched over with a cane being sprayed by a hose.
It does.
I'm not sure about that one. So until you see the guy in the car, I was
I
thinking
know.
that photo didn't do anything for me at all, but the guy being there with some flowers by his side kind of changes the whole
It does.
photo.
Perspective. Yeah.
It kind of looks like the fire doesn't do anything for him either.
So here's what's funny. When I looked at these before, I did not notice this person here.
Mm.
I have no idea how that photo was made. That's an odd one.
You know what I like about a lot of the photos is there is subject in the photo. It's not just a plain landscape.
Yep.
It just brings it up to the next level with the subject.
Yeah, I agree, Margie. So this one's interesting. If you look at the title, visual effects and digital art. Now we've had discussion for the last half year or so about the impact of artificial intelligence on photography and the whole bit. At least here they have a category. So I'm assuming this was a turn the photo upside down,
Yep.
which gives it an interesting look. Oh, and then here's an artificial intelligence category. So there was this first, or where was that? So this
Yeah.
was digital art, and then as well as artificial intelligence.
But how are those your cell phone pictures though?
Well, I don't know the answer, but I assume there's smartphone apps that you can
There
tell.
are.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's the answer to your question, Marty, but I assume that's the case.
Well, just like the AI, I mean, if this was yeah, okay, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, you're right. Though. It wouldn't matter whether you did it on a smartphone or on your computer. You're right. That's it. I thought those were pretty interesting. I thought really nice photos.
They were.
Okay, and those of you who use it or have used it in the past probably already know this, but a fairly popular app, DPReview, was purchased by Amazon a few years ago. And apparently Amazon didn't feel like it was making them sufficient amount of money. So they're basically shutting the site down. And there's been a lot of photographers, complaining about it. Of course, there's nothing that anyone can do about it. There's been questions whether another organization might take possession of DPReview and their catalog of articles and whatnot, and maybe put it back up and available. But as of right now, it's shutting down. I think it shuts down sometime in early April.
April the 10th.
April the 10th. Okay, thank you, Margie.
It
And then
says
it'll
right
be
there.
available for view for some time after that.
I used to use it a lot to see the comparison test. They used to do very wonderful tests across equipment. Very comprehensive test over a wide range of cameras and lenses. But it's a life cycle, so it's time to go, I guess.
Yeah. So interesting that all these articles are from Petapixel. Two of the men, and I don't recall their names, who did YouTube videos for DPReview, have begun working for Petapixel. So at least what those fellows were doing over the last number of years is going to continue under Petapixel on YouTube. So Margie, this one's up your alley. So rather than read, because this is just a read through article, I'm going to breeze through it quickly. But in the chat box, there is a link to the article if you want to go back and read it in more detail. But this basically, Margie could have probably written this article, I suspect. But we'll just go through, it's kind of by title, if you will, we'll go through. And Margie, if you want to just like chime in on the particular item. So there's a do list and there's a don't list. The do list is, number one is be articulate. Two is offer advice.
That number one is exactly it, number one.
Do you want to expand on that, Margie, at all, or?
Well, if I haven't read the article to see it, but I get this, oh, it's beautiful, it's nice, it's pretty. That means absolutely nothing. It is useless critiquing. I want to know why you think it's nice, why you think it needs to be improved. That's part of critiquing, not, hey, it's fantastic. Don't waste your time saying it's fantastic, it's beautiful, or anything like that, or you don't like it. Tell us why.
Yep. Well, this kind of goes along with this sentence here. Instead of simply saying the left side of the frame is too dark, try phrasing it more like, I feel the left side of the frame is a bit dark, Then the comma is, so it's pulling my eyes
That's
away
it.
from the subject.
Exactly. So like I said, it needs to be number one when you're critiquing.
Second one is offer advice. And here's like, instead of just saying an image looks flat, let the photographer know some ways to increase the depth within an image. So it's critique and then give suggestion.
Yes.
Ask questions. I know I do that probably more often than I actually critique, is just curious about why something was what it is and that type of thing.
I do it too. Yes. But always be nice, you know?
Yep.
Start off with nice, something you like about it, end with something you like about it. And then it's your opinion on how you think you could, you think they could improve it. But that's only your opinion.
Well, Margie, that's number 4. Acknowledge it's subjective. And know your expertise. I'm not sure I read this one. So I guess it's like, so rather than, I guess it's what it's saying is, if you're giving critique on something, hopefully you know something about that aspect that you're giving the critique
Keep
on.
on. If not, ask questions, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, good point. Be honest, and I assume that's, don't say something is good when in fact in the back of your mind, you don't really think it is, and vice versa, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the don't list. Don't try to be an entertainer. They have an example here. Okay, so I guess it's being kind of, and I'm good at being sarcastic. So much like telling someone that they have the worst singing voice you've ever heard isn't providing any meaningful advice for self-improvement, telling someone they suck at an element of photography in an over-the-top way isn't helpful.
Yeah.
So I guess it's be serious in your critiques.
Yes.
And this is an interesting one because the club's a perfect example of, we have a lot of really knowledgeable, experienced photographers, and we've got completely new novice photographers, and we've got everywhere in between. So if you're critiquing a novice photographer's photo, don't overwhelm them with concepts that it's likely they won't really understand what you're talking about. So bring it down to their level, or vice versa, bring it up to a level if you're critiquing, let's say, one of Rex's photos as an example.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Don't critique the gear.
No, it has nothing to do with them.
Which obviously, yeah. Well, you should have used a Canon camera and that wouldn't have happened.
I do that all the time to Annie. You should have used a Nikon.
Yeah.
But you can do that if you're close friends, okay? But
Yeah.
not if you're on this critiquing bit, it's funny.
Yeah. So this is kind of an obvious one. Don't make personal attacks.
Yeah.
How many times do we have to tell you, don't do that?
Yeah.
You stupid whatever.
Yeah.
Give pseudo criticism. Oh man. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what the hell we're talking about here.
It's just looking at it a different way. I may say that lighthouse or the branches, you know how I am with branches. And I always say, I want to see part of the trunk instead of just the branches. Yet other people like just the branches. But they may show me why just the branches are going to add to that photo. Or I'm going to use Dennis on his flowers. I hate it. I'm a gardener. I'm a master gardener. Flowers need to be in color. But man, when I saw some of Dennis's flowers, I thought, I don't need color. That thing is gorgeous.
I think that's a good example, Margie, yeah. The other example that they give here is you go to Niagara Falls and take a photo of Niagara Falls, and the critique is, well, hell, everybody takes photos of Niagara Falls. Well, that has nothing to do with it. What's the critique on this particular photo? And that's it. So again, if you want to go ahead and read the whole article, it's worthwhile.
I think it is too. It's a good article. And for those that are new and are afraid to critique, don't be afraid. Everybody has a way of looking at that photo. Everybody can come up with what they like or maybe how they think it could be improved. Look at it as your photo. How can you improve it? But it's through your eyes, not necessarily through the artist's eyes. I've been critiqued many times that has shown me another way of looking at taking that picture, but I still like my picture no matter what you guys say. So I learned from looking through other people's eyes how maybe I can improve it, or maybe a different picture I can take the next time I'm out to try it your way. So, you know, when you're out there critiquing, just get out there and critique. Tell us why you like it and be detailed about why you like it, you know, or why you dislike it. Like I tell people, you know, hey, there's a weed over here on the side, just sticking out on the side. I don't like that. And trees without trunks. It's just something I have a hang up about. But that don't mean that it's not a wonderful picture. It's just my opinion.
Good points, Margie. Okay, this next one, and again, I know every month we're probably getting tired of hearing about artificial intelligence and these text-to-image generators. Well, Adobe apparently, like an awful lot of companies, just can't stay away from it. So they're developing this, it's called Adobe Firefly. And you can see, and I don't know what day this article, March 21st. It's available in beta version. So if you want to play with it, you can. What Adobe is saying is different about theirs is that they didn't just go scour the internet for photos to teach their AI system how to do the conversion. I think it's some stock image site that I think Adobe Adobe stocks is what they're using. So they feel like they're at least controlling where the origin of the photos that they're using to teach the AI. But there's a short video here. It's only like a couple of minutes long. It just shows some of the features of it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. I really thought what was interesting about Adobe's take on this is kind of the combination of the using text to generate the image, but then all the different ways you can modify it, including the sliders that you might use in Lightroom, if you will, and adding and taking away things as you build up the actual image itself. I thought it was pretty cool looking.
Man, there's so much that can do with AI. It's sort of scary when you go to galleries and enter your photo. They're going to have to do something about their metadata.
Actually, I think at the bottom of this article, Margie, they talk about that to a certain extent. This Adobe started, I think this came out like a year ago, this content authenticity initiative will embed things like that apparently can't be tampered with.
Good. I'd hate to compete against some AI software, you know. I just wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, it's not a fair competition. I think most
No.
people agree with that anyway. Which leads me to the last one. And I think this was kind of, the case hadn't gone all the way through the legal system, but the US copyright did come out kind of officially. This particular woman developed like a graphic novel. So it was her work as far as putting together the book, if you will, and the text, but she used all AI generated images, and she tried to get the book copyrighted. And the first time through, US copyright gave her copyright protection. And then I'm not sure if someone turned her in, if you will, but they investigated it further and found out that she used artificial intelligence to generate the images and took away the overall copyright protection for her book, I'll call it. But she could keep copyright for the story, if you will. So at least from a copyright standpoint, from the US at this point in time, they're not buying AI generated images being able to be copyright protected. And that's the end of my news.
Very good, Jim. I enjoyed that very much.
Thank you.
Question, Jim.
Yeah.
I happened to notice on there, did you look at the article on the red dot site for the telescopic lens?
Carl, did I what? I'm sorry.
There was an article listed over there about using a red dot site, a hunting site on your telescopic lens. Did you happen to read that article?
Does not ring a bell with me, no. Why?
All right, I'll go back and find Petapixel and figure it out myself. I'm just curious about it.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't sound like Brian's back yet. It's 8 o'clock. So tonight's topic was going to be library management. And I had volunteered to do a portion of it. And something tells me, Beth, that you did as well. Beth? No?
Look up, Beth.
Beth, shake your head up or down.
Sorry, I'm doing two meetings at once.
Oh, okay. Are you doing a segment on library management tonight?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember being on the list.
I thought there were 3 of us, and I know it was Brian, myself. Oh, Marty, you.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, you were waving your hand. Okay. Well, maybe,
I thought there were 3 too.
Actually, what I have on the table is everyone.
well, that's okay. Well, I tell you what, I will, since I did kind of semi-prepare, I'll start it off. And we can kind of Where it heads from there then. And I think Brian was prepared to do one, so if he gets back, he can do his segment as well.
And if there's any left over, we can do critiquing. If there's any time left over, we can have critiquing we can fill in with, so.
Yeah, and I suspect we will, Margie. That's a good idea.
That's your sense of
Okay.
place. Let me jump in for a second.
All right.
We're getting two conversations.
First of all,
Yeah.
before, but one
Somebody
comment
has
to the civil engineer.
let you, Beth.
You shut
Yeah, sorry. Hold on.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hi, guys, I'm back.
Oh,
No,
Brian, that's perfect timing. I'm gonna stop. We just finished the news and we were gonna start the library management segment.
Okay,
Since you weren't back, I was gonna go first. Do you want to go first?
no, go ahead and go first. I just walked back into the room. I'm still got dirt all over my hands and everything. I just wanted to say I'm back, so
Okay.
I'm gonna wash my hands up and then we'll be ready. I'll be ready to go at that point.
I
So,
had one question for Brian.
yes.
Were there any parts left over?
I don't think so, but I replaced a bunch of parts.
It's all back together and there's some parts still out.
As far as we know, I went with a little wider tire this time though, so I may have to cut more parts off of the truck to make it fit. So other than that, we're okay so far.
Okay, go wash up.
All right, I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so subject is file management and so from what I recall, I don't think there's any relatively new members here on the call. So I don't know if any of this is going to be new and exciting information for you more experienced people, but I'll go through it just the same as if nobody ever did this before. So as far as image file name, I do my file naming on import, in my case, into Capture One, and I know Lightroom, you can do file naming on import into Lightroom, and I suspect probably any of the raw processing apps that are available that have some component of image management, you're going to be able to rename your files as well. I do this with every file I import, and I set it up where it's the year, the month, and the day of the shoot, and then a 3-digit sequence number, and then location where the photos were taken. So in this case, it was Lynn Run State Park. Depending on what the more particular subject is of the shoot, I'll also add additional information to the file name. And in this case, it's the same shoot, if you will, but in this case, there's a bunch of photos of Adams Falls. So I'll go ahead and just select those Adams Falls photos and import them all as in one group, if you will, with this particular name on it. If it happened to be the shoot included photos from other locations, I might wait and just start with Lynn Run State Park on all of them on import. And then after they've imported, I might group them and then add an extension to the name, in this case, like Adams Falls. So this is all basically, it's automated by a preset. You don't have to set something up like this every time. And if you're not doing it, it's a nice way to lend some organization, if you will, to your photos.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why do you add the number?
The sequence number?
Yes.
Okay, so if I didn't add the sequence number and I had year, month, date, Lynn Run State Park, then every photo coming in would be the exact same name.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
okay,
Yeah, I got you.
all right. Yeah, that's if you didn't, well, it probably would depend on your software. If you didn't put that sequence number in, if hopefully the software would have been smart enough to add its own little -1, -2, -3 or whatever to it. But it's just to give a specific, make it a specific file name.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the second thing is on the PC itself, from an organization standpoint, I've got a main folder called Photos. And then under that, for each year, I have a folder. So if you went onto my hard drive, you would start back in 1970 or something. And it would go all the way up through to this year. And then there's subfolders under each one of those annual photos with individual photo shoots. So in this example, I had 2 shoots in 22. One's to Phipps, one was to the Pittsburgh Zoo, and then this one when running this year. So again, that's just my way to organize the file structure.
Jim, do you use keywords?
Dennis, I've admitted this in the past. No, I don't. And it's only because I'm lazy. I'm organized, but I'm extremely lazy.
But
And I know there are techniques that you can use to shorten the keywording process, but I never got into it. And so if you would teach me something that's really easy to do today, I could see maybe going forward and doing that.
Yeah.
I don't have the ambition to go back and implement it on all my previous photos as well.
Sure. It's a lot of work.
So I basically rely on this, the file name, and the photo organization to basically serve as my pseudo keywords, if you will.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim,
Pardon me?
I've been playing with keywords, and I'm same as you. I never seem to have the discipline to do it consistently enough to make a keyword search even worthwhile. What I've been playing with recently, and this is like this in the last week, I've been taking stuff like your 2022 Phipps file. I mean, selecting all the files and putting Phipps in as the keyword, for instance, because you have yours organized by year, and if you did a Phipps shoot in 2020 and 2022, you can't coordinate them. But if you did a keyword search for Phipps, you'd pull up the 2022 and 2020 pictures.
That's a valid point, Rob.
And it's easy to do because you can do all the pictures at once. You don't have to key each picture, right? You select them all and say put Phipps in as a keyword. I've been fooling with it. I don't know how effective it is, but that's what I'm trying to do with my pictures now.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. If I were to do a search on Phipps, my search result would be every photo I ever took at Phipps.
Yeah, but you should be able to sub-search. You should be able to do Phipps in a year or Phipps.
Well, and you're right, Dennis, you could. And because the way I name my files, they actually show up sequentially in the search.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy for me just to scroll up and down. If all I wanted were the 2022 photos, they'd simply be at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
So it works for me, is all I can say.
Yeah, you know what I think the important point is, you have to be consistent. Whatever method you decide to use, you have to use it consistently.
I agree 100%. Yeah, I've been doing this for years and years. So this isn't quite file management, but it's kind of related to it. I remember, I know Brian has mentioned, like, I know Rex has, and maybe later on in the meeting, Rex can go through his method of culling and starring and rating photos. I'll just go through quickly. I have a fairly simple process that I do. So I've imported all my photos, and my first step is I go through them. I either give them a 1 or a 3. And the 1 is don't bother with them. Don't process them. They're just not worth it. And the 3 is, yeah, these look like they might be okay. And And so the second step is I go ahead and filter on the 3 stars, and I complete what I call basic processing. And in this case, it's pretty much just doing I do the, what would you call it? The automatic process. I forget what Lightroom calls it, but it sets like the white point and the black point and adjusts the exposure. Just the simple stuff to see if you've got something worth pursuing for additional processing. So I do that almost as a batch with all the 3-star photos. But then I go ahead and I look at the 3-star photos based on that initial basic processing, and I change them to those that look like they're, in my mind anyway, really good. I'll give them a 5-star rating, and that's to designate them for more advanced processing if I want to. So I'll go ahead and process the 5. And I don't want to make it sound, I guess in my mind, I'm fairly selective in that if, for instance, if our photo walk at Crescent State Prison the other week, if in one room I took a shot of a window that was shattered, and let's say I had 10 different versions of that photo, if you will, I'll pick one of those 10 for a 5-star, even though maybe of the 10, maybe 5 of them I gave a 1-star for whatever reason, maybe it was out of focus or something. They end up with 5 3-stars. Then I would only pick one of those 5 to go into advanced processing and assign a 5-star. So I try not to pick a whole lot for additional processing. Then the 4th step is I will make JPEG versions of all of the 3 and 5-star photos for permanent storage. And this is where this next part is, I know I'm different from 90% of you. And I know storage space is relatively cheap, but the only raw images that I actually save for permanent storage are the 5-stars. And going back to those 10 of the shattered window, I make my decision today, if you will, whether it's worth keeping a raw image or not of those 10, of one of those 10, or 2 of those 10, maybe if there's subtle differences. And I'll go ahead and let's see here, this 6th one here, if this is out of your way. Do you see this bar here at the bottom?
Yes.
Okay, let me get this out of the way because it's blocking the. Okay, so the 5th one is I do save temporarily the 1-stars and the 3-star raw images for a minimum of 6 months or so. And after that time, I just delete them from my local and wax drives. I don't bother them. So if I would go out one day, I think, well, like the Crescent Prison, I think maybe I've kept a half a dozen or so, or I will have kept a half a dozen or so raw images when it's all said and done. Just the ones that I think are good that I might use for some purpose in the future.
Jim,
Yeah.
you haven't gone back, I know I have, 2 or 3 years and thought, wow, I know how I can fix that now and make it a better photo. And I want my raw image there to make it a better photo because I have learned more in the processing steps. You have never had that problem?
Margie, that's a valid point. I accept it. And I can see where that could happen. And and I think a good example of that is I think you've heard me tout Topaz being able to bring back a bad photo to life from its, whether it's noise or sharpness, or maybe it was a really heavily cropped photo and using gigapixel. So there, yes, I agree 100%. that I could be missing out on something in the future because I trashed something today. By the same token, I can live with that. But you're right. I truly agree with you. Okay, this is weird. Let me get out of here. I think I'm froze up. Whoop, there we go. Yeah, okay. Okay, and this has to do with file management as well. And this gets back to Dennis and Rob talking about keywording. And I think I mentioned this not too long ago because we had a discussion about the use of collections. I use collections as a surrogate for keywording as well. So I have a photo categories collections, and I'm not sure how well you can read it here, but it's here. So this is, I got an animals collection, a balconies, doors, and windows collection, and black and white and clouds, and blah, 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 trees, water, beach, and shore, water, pond, and lakes. So how I use these is, let's say we went to Lynn Run and we were at Adams Falls and took photos, and I took 10 photos at Adams Falls, and I had 3 or 4 really great ones from different angles, if you will, and I actually wanted to keep all 5 in this case. I would definitely put my 5 stars in one of these collections, but what it allows me to do is, let's say a year from now, there's a photo contest, the Pennsylvania State Parks, and one of the categories was waterfalls in a state park. I would simply click on my waterfalls, and streams collection, and there would be my Lynn Run photos in there. So that's how I would find them, if you will. So that's how I use photo categories. The year's best, I typically throw all my 5 stars into that one. And I know I can use a search to find them in other ways, but I just automatically throw them into a year's best collection. And that's what I use to generate my annual photo book. I use that collection as the basis for selecting photos. And then this collection here, photo prints by size, is not 4x6s for like personal albums, but anything big like for shows, like our shows, or for contests, in that I have actually made prints of the photos. I throw them in the collection so that I know which prints I have. And the collection is subdivided by print size. So I can go in there and look and see what 8x10s I have, or 11x14s, or 20x30s. They're all available there. And then this collection here is photo show submissions. So within that main album, I've got each photo show that I participated in with the club, with what prints I actually had in that show. So I can go back through fairly quickly and see if last year, what prints did I have in the show? And well, I don't want to repeat those this year, so I'll pick something different. And then when I go to pick something different, my first step would be to go back to the photo prints by size and take a look and say, oh, maybe I want to go ahead and include this print in the show this year. And then kind of do the same thing with photo contest submissions. I've got an album there where every photo I've submitted for a photo contest, I've got there, so I can just track those. And then I've got a special projects collection. And my special projects now, I've got one on mail pouch barns, window views. I think I got something else, but I forget what it is. So that's kind of my way of organization and avoiding keywording, kind of all in one big step, I guess.
And it's always copies.
Say that again?
It's always copies.
Well, it's virtual copies. It's not, I'm not adding any space to my hard drive. When you use a collection, it's just a virtual copy of the image. So, and you can do this in Lightroom if you have a collection there, is if you would right click on it, it'll say, do you want to go to the original folder? And it'll take you there, and that's where the actual image resides. So these are just all virtual copies.
Okay, that's good.
Then as far as file backup goes, so my PC internal hard drive, I'm saving photos on there, and then an automatic backup copy to an external SSD. And I make a third copy on the cloud. And if you look at this note here, I had been using Amazon Drive for my cloud backup. But any of you who have been using it already know this, but beginning this year, and it's kind of, it changes throughout the year. You can still access Amazon Drive today, but you can't upload to Amazon Drive. So everything, all the photos that I currently have in Amazon Drive are now available only in Amazon Photos. And the biggest difference between Amazon Drive and Amazon Photos is that Amazon Photos doesn't include file structure, which, as you've seen before in this previous slide, I kind of like my year photo shoot file structure, and I was able to duplicate that when I was using Amazon Drive, but can't duplicate that in Amazon Photos. So the beginning of this year, I switched over to Backblaze, and I'm using that for my cloud-based backup. And that's it. So any questions? Alrighty.
For me, I asked all of mine, so, and I thought that was really good. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian, are you back in town?
Okay, somebody needs to call him.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
Don't need to call me. I'm here. I'm here. Was Beth, was you doing any of this tonight, or is it just me and Jim?
She's on
My list just says everyone.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't, like, whoever had something to contribute, I think was the idea.
All right, not a
And
problem.
you don't want to do my system because it isn't, it's kind of like the inside of my brain.
Okay.
How I find anything later is beyond me, but somehow I do.
Okay. All right, not a problem. I'll jump in and do, I'll show you what I do, which is, I'd say about 100% completely the opposite of what Jim just showed. And more along the lines of what Beth would show you. Because I'm not as organized as Jim is. And I really do want to say, though, your collections, and I was reading your list of collections that you had on the screen. I love that.
I do too.
And I might have to incorporate that, or try to incorporate that. I don't know. I'm gonna try something, but I really did like that. That was really, I've always had issues with trying to break down everything that I do down to, like, would you have like 25 collections there or something like that?
I got a bunch of them, yeah.
But I tried that before, but I ended up with like 2,000 collections because I made a new collection for everything I did, and that was like, well, that was useless. But I liked your style. I liked your idea there, and so I like that, and I really would like to, basically say good idea, and I'm going to try to work on that.
What program did you use, Jim?
Well, I use Capture One, but it's available in Lightroom.
Okay, I thought so. Nobody has used collections in Lightroom, or have they?
I use them all the time. I can show you what
Okay.
I do with them too, and Brian's done real quick, so.
Okay,
Why don't you do that, Rob? That'd be good for those who. are
Yeah,
using-
definitely, Rob, because I'm going to show you what I do with Lightroom. And then you can pop in and show how you use your collections, because I only use a couple collections, and it's typically I'll make a collection for something that I'm working on, or a project or something like that. And then once I'm done with that project, I just delete the collection. I don't need it anymore.
Well, that's all I use. I never even go into the files. It's all collections.
Okay. All right. So anyhow, let me pop on here. Let me share let me figure out how to get my mouse back to the other screen. Let me share my screen here. And it should be, you should see Lightroom again.
yes.
Okay. Do you guys see it okay, or is it like weird or anything like that? When I used to do this, it was always weird for you guys or something.
Can you
The only
expand the
thing-
size?
Oh,
I don't see it full size. It's only taking up 3/4 of the whole screen.
Yeah, that's how I have it set up right now. Because if I make it
Okay.
full size, that's typically when I ran into issues with you guys not being able to see it correctly. I
Okay.
can make it a little bit bigger though.
Hey, okay.
better.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
We had some issues before, and I think it was because I have my monitors way bigger than most people's, and it was having issues with people seeing it. But anyhow, so I don't have anything to import on here, but when I import pictures, I will put my card into my computer. And this is my process. I put my card into my computer and I click on the import button in Lightroom. And it'll pop up. And like I said, I don't have anything to import in here. But when I would do this, I would pick the pictures. If I had my card in here, I'd have my card in here. And the first thing I do is keyword right then. Now I don't keyword I don't keyword very, very specifically, but like Jim said, he puts on there in his file name where he was at. He was at Adams Falls. That's what I do with my keywords, and I do it right here because I'm going to have it keyword everything I took that day. So in the keywords, I would put in here, like let's say we were at Pittsburgh at the Strip District. I'm going to put in a keyword of Pittsburgh, a keyword of Strip District, and then probably a keyword of like street photography, because that's what we were doing. And I'll add that here. And then when it imports the pictures, it will add that keyword to every picture for you immediately, if you add it on the import screen. So now I don't have to go through 400 pictures and keyword 400 pictures individually. It does it as it's being added into the catalog. So that's how I always keyword my pictures. And like Dennis said, if you get into a habit of doing something all the time, then it gets done every time you do it, and it's easy to do. So that's where my keywords will come from. And that'll be my general keywords. So if I click on a picture here, you'll see this says photo walk, Pittsburgh, street photography, strip district, WPS outing. So that would have been the ones that I put on every one of these pictures. And then no matter which one I click on, the keywords don't change unless I did something to that picture. Then sometimes I'll come in and I'll add something like that there. I keyworded those three with a motorcycle. So I was in there fooling around and I added a couple keywords to motorcycle there. But the vast majority of these pictures will have, see, that one has a motorcycle in it. So I keyworded that one motorcycle. Here's one, this one I added the street art in. So I did that later on after I had my pictures in. But my initial keywording is done on the import with the general keywords for the day, for the shooting of the day, whatever it is that I photographed that day. Like here, I went back in and I added church and church reflections, but photo walk, Pittsburgh, reflection, street photography, strip district, WPS outing are all there, and they'll be there for all that. So when I come back into Lightroom at some point, and I want to look for something. If I go up and click on this that says all photographs, and I go up here and there's one here right in the middle, it says text. I click on that and I can type in here. Let's type in Phipps. Now it brought up my Phipps pictures and it brings them all up at one time. And then if I had something, So there's two pictures that I had that were Phipps and Orchid. Like I said, I don't do a lot of very specific ones unless I've worked on it. And obviously, because that one has 5-star or 4 stars on it, I worked on that picture. So that's how I do my keywording, and I do it all the time. It makes it easy for me to find stuff. So if I go back and I'm here, all photographs, and I go up here and I type in Wren, I don't even have to type in the whole keyword. If I type in Wren, it'll pick that up and say, oh, there's all your pictures from the Renaissance Festival. So that's how I use keywording. As far as how I do my filing, it's kind of weird. I date it. If you can look here. So this file here is dated 03/21/2021 and where it was, Allegheny Cemetery. And I do that when I do my import. If I bring up that, I'll bring up that import screen again. Over here is, on this side, is where I tell Lightroom where the picture is going to go. So if I was importing something right now, it would be going onto this hard drive, which is an external hard drive. I don't put my pictures on my computer hard drive. It's an external hard drive, 2023. And then when I would click on that, I would tell it here, I'm going to make a new folder, create new folder. And then here I can come in and create a folder for the day. So I always have a WPS folder. That means that there's things that are specific for WPS. And then like this, I did Phipps and I dated it 01/22/2023. So that's the date that we were there. And then I would add that, I would click new folder, and then I would add that folder, and then I would pick that for my import, put my keywords on it, and that's where the pictures would go. Hit cancel and cancel. And then once they're imported, they would show up over here. And this is that hard drive and a list of pictures that are on that hard drive. Now, Rob uses the collections, which is right here. And I do have, let's see, do I have anything here? Solomon round 2. This is when I was doing pictures for General Motors to prove that we build a new building here. So I had to take pictures of very specific things. I added it to a collection so that I could pull that whole collection up and either export it or print it or whatever it was that they needed me to do with it. But that's how I use collections. I don't do a big collection thing. But after watching Jim, I might do that. So like this here, I did this collection of selection, and this is when I did the talk about how to do selections in Lightroom, when we were talking about selecting objects and stuff like that. So that's what I use collections for. Questions? Am I still on here by myself, or there was not I mean, I couldn't even hear a cricket. There was no noise at all. Okay.
Well, Brian, I have to admit that if I was starting from scratch, I believe the keywording is a better system than what I use relative to the file naming. But again, as I said earlier, the fact that I am where I am, I just don't feel like I want to start something new.
Yeah, and if you look at my file naming, see, my file naming isn't consistent. So it'll have the dates in the front, it'll have the dates at the end. My file naming is out of there. But because I use the keywording, I don't care. I really don't care how the file names come up, because I can go in here into my keywording and go to text and say, I want to look for strip district. I'll type in strip. Oh, I'm not on the, I got to go back to the all photographs. You always have to go to the catalog that says all photographs, and then do there, it brought up all my strip district pictures.
Yeah, but isn't that for like 30 years worth of strip pictures?
It can
Without
be.
a date?
This particular one is only going to be last year and this year, because I did some changes and hard drive changes and stuff like that, and I moved some stuff around. But yeah, it would do that. But then you can be more specific. I can go into
Sort by year.
Yeah, or you can sort by year. There's all kind of things you can do as far as how you want to sort it. I'm just showing you the general way is just I know that anything I took in the strip district will have the keyword strip on it.
Right.
So I can at least do that. But then I can get more specific about it and sort by year, or I can come back down here to my filter and filter out just by clicking, because I use stars for filters, or stars for picking pictures. And it'll show anything that has a 1 or 2 or however many star picture I want to show.
Right.
And
Or
do
you
you
can do that.
delete?
What's that?
Do you delete?
Do I delete? Nope. Nope. Maybe you see the Renaissance file here has 566 pictures. This one has 398.
Yeah,
It's 397. No, I don't delete pictures.
I've tried to get a little more in the habit of at least deleting the dogs.
Well,
But I had a conversation with DL and he's also of the mindset, he does not delete.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't delete. Now, if there's something that is, I mean, 100%, there's no questions asked. It's, you know, my camera took a picture when it was carrying it on a strap and it got some weird thing on it.
Yeah.
I delete that. I will delete that.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, as far as if we go out and do a shoot and take, you know, do 400 pictures, I keep all 400 pictures. It don't matter to me. So if you
Yeah,
click on, like on Renaissance Festival here, they're all there. That's all the pictures I took on that day. All 566 of them.
Yeah.
Should I delete? Probably. I mean, but
I don't think so. I don't
I
feel
don't
like
delete.
I have that thing that like Jim said, well, maybe later on down the road, or not, well, someone said when Jim said he deletes, maybe later on down the road, there's that one picture you figured out how to fix it.
yeah,
Or
that
I've
was
got a
maybe-
better idea how to deal with that picture. So
Yeah.
I don't delete pictures.
I only delete the ones that are really bad that I know I can't repair down the road.
Yeah.
Or ones that
Yeah.
are, that are, you know, if I took 5 or 6 shots of the same thing and one of them is really not as good as the other 4, I'll keep 4 and delete the one because
Yeah.
what I need that one for, right? Because if I want to go to a later date, I'll do the other 4 first. That's what I'll take out.
Yeah, and I will do that from time to time, but for the most part, like if you look here, if you're looking at my screen right now, this is all the same, basically all the same picture of the bubble girl doing the exact same thing. And there's, you know, what, 25 or 30 of them there. I'm not going to delete them. I'm keeping them all
Yeah.
because I might
Brian,
come back.
That's
In
what I
my
do.
file system, I have, all of my stuff is in folders just with the original name that the camera gives it. So if I were to delete one, then I would spend the rest of my life trying to figure out why is there a missing one in the sequence.
She's so right.
Hey, Brian, stay on the umbrella girl.
Okay.
Okay, so, and so the ones that are, I'm going to say, not, I'm going to use the term overexposed, not overexposed, but probably more properly exposed than the underexposed ones. Just that group, there's got to be over 20 of them there.
Right.
Maybe close to 30. So,
But they're all going to be different though. So
well, I know there's subtle differences, but if we went through them one at a time,
like this,
yeah,
It's a-
there's differences, but
Right.
all I'm
You
saying
can see
is,
moving
I may-
his motion picture.
No.
if I hold the forward button down long enough, you can watch the video.
it's like, why do I need 30 of what I'm going to say is basically the same composition?
I have no idea, but I can't.
There are subtle
Oh, I know
differences.
exactly why.
There's subtle differences with.
Jim, I know exactly why. Because the reason is that one of those images is perfect. The others are okay. He has to go and find the perfect one.
Yep.
That's why he has all of them.
When I
Yeah.
went through these dark ones today, I did this picture today, this one here that's brighter with a single star on it. When I went through these today and looked at them, that was the picture that I decided needed to be done.
Yeah.
So, but if I went through and went, oh, those are all dark and threw them away, then I wouldn't have had anything to work with. So I picked it, but this one here, I was happy with that enough to work on it a little bit today. And
So
it's
again, I'm
okay,
just playing
but-
devil's advocate. Once you've picked that photo, then my question would be, what would ever come up a year from now, 2 years from now,
Right.
you would say, do you know what? I processed the wrong photo.
I
I
think,
should have done 322.
The thing for me is that maybe a year from now, I've figured out how to make this picture better.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is a year from now, your mind's eye is different.
That's
You
true
will
too.
look at
Yeah.
those photos
absolutely.
differently.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
And I think, I find that, and I'm of the opinion that like this photo shoot that Brian has in front of us, he should not look at those photos until 3 or 6 months have passed. Because when you made the photo, you had a certain expectation. And when you look at the photo in 6 months, your expectations are different.
Boy, not the truth.
Yeah.
And if you get, this after I said I started to delete, but I'm doing flowers. I think it's a little easier to see the ones that are out of focus. But in a situation like this, your perception of the image changes. And when you say, well, why the hell did I take that? All of a sudden, you realize why you took it. And it becomes the one that you work on.
Right. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And also your style of photography changes over the
Yeah,
years.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
So
Without a doubt.
years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I would not have taken pictures that were underexposed like this.
And you certainly wouldn't have taken 50 of them.
Right. But now I'll take them because I kind of like darker photos now. So I do a lot more with darker photos, and I want stuff to be on the darker side. So stuff that's real bright, like say this guy, the dope on a rope. He calls himself that. I'm allowed to say that.
Okay.
But this guy here, it's real bright like that. I most likely wouldn't even touch that photograph right now. But a year from now, I might be interested in brightly done or high key or something. Now I have a photo I can come back to and work with, like maybe this one, this guy here. But so, yeah, I like to keep stuff. And I do go back. I mean, just like today, I sat down and I did this picture. And I'm still not 100% sure on it. That's the reason it only has 1 star on it. I'm not 100% excited about it yet, but I might be. I don't know. So I put a star on it. One thing I will say is that I use once in, I didn't mention this. Let me mention this, and then we'll let Rob talk about his collections. When I go through these pictures, once I've uploaded all the pictures, or downloaded, I should say, downloaded all the pictures into Lightroom here, I will come back into these pictures and start from the beginning at that screen right there. And I will go through just like this real fast. And as I go through them, I hit the letter P on the ones that I like.
Yeah.
So when I hit the letter P, you seen it said it flagged it as picked. And that's how I will call or go through 500 photographs. And I'll go through them and just start hitting the letter P as I like stuff. If I see something, oh, I like that one, I hit the letter P. I move on. So then when I'm done doing that, I can come down here and filter. Oh. Let me go back to the whole collection here, take this filter off. I can come down here to the filter and I can click on this and it'll bring up all those pictures that I picked to start with. And that's where I start my decision-making as far as what I'm going to work on. And then I go from there. So if we go over, let me see here, carry furnace. If I go into carry furnace and we filter these by picked, here's the ones that I picked. And then after that, I start starring the ones that I'm going to work on. And when I get up to a 4 or 5 star, those are the ones that I actually work on.
Yeah.
And that's just my process. That's the way I like to do it. If I bring this filter back, no, I'm sorry, that's changing a picture. If I bring this filter to 2, 3, or 1, or go into 5, then it gets down to 5. And if you look at those, you guys should recognize those. Those are all pictures that were used for something, one way or another. So that's how I do that. And that's my process. I know Rex uses colors, you know, everyone uses something different, but that's how I do my pictures.
Yeah, one of the reasons I found the color differences very useful, because when you're working on one raw file, you'll take it into Photoshop, create something with it, and you'll get a JPEG coming back. So for the time being, it's sitting there in the file right beside its mate, the raw mate. And eventually it's going to work its way down into another folder. But for the time being, as I work this one, then that one, then that one over here, and I have to go away, and then I come back and I look again, I can see like I have all these, like these teachers here. All these are purple. I know every one is a JPEG. If I had a raw file sitting in there, it would be that yellow or gold color. So I'd know right away if I'm working with a JPEG or a TIFF, or because I use a different color for each one. So that's the reason that I use colors, because I know right away I'm working on a raw file, or I'm working on a JPEG or a TIFF or another file type.
Rex, why do you work on anything but raw files? Why do you work on a TIFF? Why not always raw files?
Oh, no. Everything is done on the raw files. No, I keep my raw files, just reverse of, I think, Jim, right? I keep them all. Yeah, there's a folder, then there's a subfolder. In my main folder, I'll have the CR2, which is raw for Canon, and I'll do the work on them. And then I'll either, if I've done enough of them, I can do an automation and move them to another file, a subfolder. But then eventually, and when they go, they have the same color. So what I have to do is, when I get them in the new file, I change the color so that they'll now be the purple. And if for some reason I'm making a TIFF from it, when I go into Photoshop, they come back a TIFF. So the TIFF is yet another color. My color TIFF is green. So if there's a green one in this field of purple and with the spots of yellow, I know that's a TIFF file. I know the JPEG file, and I know the raw file. And eventually they all get cleaned up. Like right now, this is just a field of purple because they're all JPEGs.
Yeah. And Rex, I just did that to all my photos. And it's really easy to do, because you get into the search and you could just go into the meta file and say, search all your TIFF files. They all pop up and say, select them all and make them all green, whatever color you want. And then do the same with the JPEG and make them all another color.
But why do you have multiple formats? Why don't you work in?
I work in RAW, but when I send it to Photoshop, it doesn't come back in RAW. It comes back as a PSD file, or it comes back as a TIFF. And that's when I highlight it. So I know it's been to, if I see a different color, then I know it's been through Photoshop versus just Lightroom processing. Most of my hard drive, most of my pictures are gray, and the default gray is just the general RAW file. The other ones are colors for if I send something over to Topaz, it comes back as a TIFF. Depends how I send it. It may come back as a TIFF, it may not, but I want to know what it came back as to be able to figure it out quickly. So I know which one came back from the other software and which one was the original RAW file I was working on.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my case, they have to go out. I mean, this is back when I was doing business, and I've kind of developed a habit of doing things a certain way, because most of the time I was doing it was for clients. And that meant that really the labs, all they want is a JPEG. So you have to give them the very best JPEG you can. And that's why I would be working in a JPEG. But the JPEG would be the finished file, or in some cases, the TIFF would be the finished file, depend on who the client is and what they want.
Yeah. There were also some cases for me where I had a nice cell phone picture that I wanted to put in, and it was a JPEG. So I wanted to identify it, so I know it was a JPEG, that kind of thing. It just happens to be in my library.
Yeah. No, I like working in the raw files.
Well,
all the
yeah,
time.
I agree, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And as far as you were talking about keywords before, when I bring a, like, we're going to go on a cruise. So it's going to have a date. It'll have like 2023, and under 2023, there'll be the subfolders and everything that's going into 2023. When I import it in, it's going to go in under 2023. It's going to be, I'll have 2023 cruises. So I'm still using 2023. I'm using it on the first line for everything for 2023. Then I have 2023 cruise, 2023 car show, 2023 WPS field trip, that kind of thing. And then in there, on the keywords, we'll have what it was about, field trip, FIPS,
Yeah.
or aviary, or strip district. So, and that's just the way I've developed my habit of doing it.
I do the same way, Rex. Very some way. I have the subfolders. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can actually go in all of 2023 and pick out what you want, or, you know, all of the, I do my search on Explorers where I do my search.
Mhm.
And
I can look in the, I can look in the left column over here. I can go back to, clear back to, I think right now, 2009.
mhm.
And it's just in this hard drive over here. So, and then I can go under 2009, find all the different things, car show,
Yep,
client,
too.
whatever, school, whatever.
Yep.
So I usually use the year over in the basic collection, what I would call the file
Then
structure.
Yeah, then subfolders up underneath, yes. And I've even made subfolders of subfolders because I will put some of my stuff in that I'm working on in that one folder into a subfolder.
Yeah, well, I try not to go, I try not to step in too far. I try to step in and then down. Okay. And of course, you do have to go in because each one of those has a subfolder for its own particular subject. But I try not to go in too far. Some time ago, I think computers are so much better now, but there was a time when it got dangerous to do more than, say, 3 or 4 files deep, because you run into some problems trying to recover it.
Yeah.
Maybe DL knows about that performance. Or Brian.
Yeah, dealing with file systems with lots of folders usually isn't a problem. It's when the folder names and the file names are real long, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, that used to be. Yeah, now that you can do it a little bit better. You can get a little more. You can get a few more of the alphabet in them now than you did before.
Path names shouldn't exceed 255 characters.
No, never mind.
That's the folder name and all the way down the tree.
Yeah, it's none of them are that long. Yeah.
Well, I run into that at least once a month.
Oh
Because,
my.
yeah, well,
As you go after the
one
person.
company I work for, their stuff goes back 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Years of mistakes with, you know, their titles of their reports look more like a book, and they would name the folders the same way and the subfolders the same way. So they exceeded 255 really quick. Yeah, and it's a real pain to bring all that back.
Well, we all have to, regardless, if we were all using exactly the same software, exactly the same, we would still come up with completely different ways. Our brains are different, we think different, we have different jobs to do, and we come up with different ways of doing things. Jim, you're an engineer, and you come up with a very nicely structured way of doing these.
But what I have noticed after tonight is so many of you actually use the similar ways. of filing your photos, very similar ways.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to putting your keywords in. We may do it different, but we still do similar.
Hey,
Yeah, well, it's not, I don't have a perfect system. I don't know who does, but it's definitely far from perfect. But sometimes I struggle, but I usually get to where I wanted to.
Rex, I
Yeah,
believe you started to comment on one of my photos,
Okay,
and it disappeared. I think it was because it was in the March photo contest.
I did that.
Did you do that? Did you
Black
delete
and
it? or
white?
did you-
The comment about the black and white,
Yes, I wanted to hear what you had to say.
I can't because it's in the photo contest.
So I'm gonna put my email address.
No. I'll be glad. I made a comment. You asked about something about it. And my comment was, it needs to have some contrast separation between the flower and the background.
Flower in the background.
Right, so the dark in the background, so the flower stands out.
Is that one that's in the contest?
Yeah, it's in the March,
It's the black and white one.
Yeah, we're
yeah.
not supposed to be talking about that.
yeah, I've learned to avoid saying anything until.
Well, I said something and then I said, well, I shouldn't say anything, so I deleted it.
Yeah,
And you could do that in Lightroom easily with these new masking tools.
yeah.
I've been doing that. They work great.
Yeah, and the other thought is you have yellow-orange stamens. So either make them darker or lighter relative to the petals, so they stand out.
All right. Good.
That was my call.
You talking to the black and white one or the color?
Black and white.
Okay, thank you. We're done.
But nice photo.
Thank you.
That was a sidebar.
What happened? Oh, there's Brian.
He's
We
probably,
got 3
I
minutes
was
left.
talking, I just had it muted. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
I was cutting out a fender for that tire.
Yeah. Well, I actually was asking Rob if he wanted to show his collections, but we're just about out of time. You want to show them next meeting we have, Rob?
Yeah, I can do that. I think I'm on tap for a lot of the next meeting, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
So I can do that, and I also had a few other tips I was going to show too while I had the floor, so if that's okay.
Okay.
Maybe I'll circle back with Jim before the meeting, or you, Brian, whoever is appropriate, to tell you what I plan on doing, so.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Rebecca asked a question, is there any verbiage or anything to help promote the show? I will put a Facebook thing up tomorrow, and then you can promote it through that way, if that's okay with you, Rebecca.
Yeah, I was just looking for something to share on social media to kind of get the word out, because it's not on the Latrobe Art Center page or anything. I was a little bummed to not see anything there. So
Okay.
just trying to get word out to get peeps there, you know?
All right, I will, I'll put up an event on our Facebook page, and then you can share the hell out of that.
All right, cool.
All right.
And we tried to get a press release out, but John kind of his contacts didn't get back to him, and they didn't put anything out in the Trib or Penn Trafford. So I don't know what's going on with the newspapers. So he was a little disappointed because he worked hard on that to get it out there, and they just didn't run it.
Huh.
So, Marty, is there a reason the Latrobe Art Center's website doesn't have anything on it?
I have no idea. I should call Michael and ask him.
'Cause,
Yeah, you would think that they would want to put
promote
something.
themselves a lot.
Yeah.
I'll call him tomorrow. I didn't even think to look on their website. I'll make a note.
All right, guys. Well, that makes it 9 o'clock. Anybody else have any last second things to say or bring up, or? Carl, we're good. We're good for next week for the beginning of the class.
Yeah, I don't have the key. I'll pick that up Sunday. but
Okay.
Otherwise, everything's a go.
Okay. So the Lightroom class will start next Thursday. I'll also put that out tomorrow.
Thursday,
Yes.
Thursday.
I thought it was Wednesday.
Nope.
Nope. All the dates that were in your email were for Thursdays.
Really?
When is the next IHOP?
It'll be the third
Good question.
Thursday of the month.
April
good.
20th. April 20th is the IHOP.
The last one was really great. We had a lot of people there and a lot of fun.
It was good.
And you actually got some, DL got a couple probably, some good little clips.
What happened there? What happened to you?
No, you should have been there.
Okay.
He was passing out prizes.
Yeah, I'm passing out prizes.
Yeah. Those dates are all Thursdays?
They are.
Uh-oh.
I have it right here, 2023.
No, only the third Thursday, right, of every month.
No, he's talking about the class.
Yeah,
Oh,
the class.
The first
Oh.
Wednesday in April is the 5th.
Nope, 6.
But the date is the 6th. That's the date is the first Thursday in April. It's the first Thursday of each month.
I thought we did Wednesdays.
We did last year, but my schedule has changed and I have Thursday nights open now, not Wednesdays.
Oh,
Get
You
with
have
the
any people
program,
signed up?
Carl.
That gonna be a problem, Carl?
I don't know. I gotta find out.
Well, all the dates that
Everybody
were
signed
in,
up?
all the dates that were in your email or in your letter to the
Yeah,
church
I've been-
were for Thursdays.
I've been saying Wednesday and I don't know how carefully they looked at the written word there.
Okay, well, let me
I
know.
just double check. Yeah,
Check and let me know, because if it needs to be put in a different place, we can move it to IHOP or something like that for the first month and see, we can do something different.
I even have it written down here as first Thursday.
See, told you it was a Thursday.
Where did this 5th come from? That was a Wednesday. It's on Thursday. I'll figure it out.
All right, let me know.
Yep.
All right, guys. With that being said, I think we're gonna we can end the meeting for this evening. We'll see you guys shortly
All
for the next
right.
one.
Thanks,
Right,
Are you
Brian.
gonna be there Friday? Are you coming Friday night, Brian?
That would be tomorrow night. I have no idea what I'm doing in about 15 minutes, so I don't know about tomorrow yet.
Oh,
Okay.
you better be there.
It's at 6
I will-
o'clock, right?
And,
Six
and
o'clock.
now, one other question, how are we advertising Lightroom/Photoshop classes?
I'm working on that, but I need to know where we're meeting now, because if we're not meeting at the church on the next Thursday, then I have to change that. So give me a moment.
Okay,
As soon as Carl gets back to me, I'll put out the information through Facebook, and we can share it that way. That's usually how we find most of our people anyhow.
okay, all right,
And the reception's at 6 o'clock tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
yes.
All right.
I will attempt to make it, but I'm not sure. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm like trying to get that done.
There's a lot of good food,
Blah, blah,
Okay. Okay.
a lot
I'll
of
do what I
good
can.
food.
blah, blah, blah.
I'll do what I can, because I only have a couple days to move. I got to get done by like Monday or Tuesday at the latest. So, all right, guys.
Carol and I will be there. Well, we want to go see, I want to go see what she saw today. Okay,
All
so
right.
I'll be there.
I do have one last question. If you're working on photos, what's the best color light to work under?
Huh. Not what I have.
The same light it's gonna be viewed under.
Yeah, you want a background of gray. You want to do the 18% gray background.
No, I mean the light in your ceiling,
In the house.
your house light.
Same light you're gonna show it in.
Yeah, you need
That's-
solar daylight.
That is
daylight
impossible to
balance
do.
lights.
So what I'm
Yeah.
saying, I can't put lights in my house that are the same light that's going to be in the Latrobe Art Center, the Greensburg Art Center.
That's right.
So I need to, I'm thinking that it used to be like 5,000 K.
Yeah.
Is probably the best light.
It
Color.
is.
The DALUX.
Okay.
Well, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, because I'm in a process of building a new office, and I'm going to light it completely with the right color light. So I just wanted to make sure what color is the best.
so 5,000.
5,000 to 5,500, somewhere in that zone.
Okay. All right, that's all I need to know.
All righty.
I got to order a bunch of.
For about 10 grand, we'll take care of that for you.
Yeah, really.
What's that?
I'll do it for 5.
About 10 grand, we'll take care of that.
All right.
Okay,
Rex?
signing off. See you guys.
Yeah, see you
All
tomorrow.
right.
Good night.
Tomorrow night.
Good night. Yeah. Okay.
That
What?
was the computer was giving me the problem with the software. I said it blew up. I left the note in there. Responding to you, we were talking about Pure Raw 3.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the computer was wonky all day, and it's still a little bit weird, but it appears that the problem with the Raw 3 was the computer, not the software.
Okay. So yeah, I guess maybe if you have to take a look at it again now, or rework the image if you have to, republish it.
I just ran an IR through it. And I can see the difference. They have, the game where you move the bar back and forth in the middle. It did clean it up significantly, but
Okay.
you can see from that photo basically what it did.
If I go look at it on Reddit now on my large
Yeah.
screen, okay, I'll do that.
Yes.
Sure. And
Um,
you're going to be there tomorrow night?
Beware.
You're going to be at the show tomorrow night, the opening.
Highly unlikely at this point.
Okay, well, see you next time.
My
And
pleasure.
I'll take a look at those images. See you guys.
Have a great
Bye,
day.
Rex.
All right. Good
Bye,
night,
baby.
guys.
Good night.
What?